Welcome to Money Talks, a weekly feature on FM 93.5 The Berg and WMEG AM 740. Today we will talk just a little bit about money, maybe some of the things you can do with it, how it can impact your life, some ideas on financial planning and investing, and getting the most out of the money you hope to have, already have, or want to pass down. So sit back, relax, listen, and maybe take some notes, as you may have some questions by the time we're done with this edition of Money Talks. Hello, Dan Joss. Welcome back to Money Talks. How are you doing today?
Doing well, thank you.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. So, we've talked about all sorts of exciting stuff in our Money Talks conversation, and we're going to continue to talk about exciting stuff. But what are we going to talk about today that will have everybody on the edge of their seat?
Real estate investment trusts.
Okay, so they'll be sitting back and relaxed. So, real estate investment trust, a REIT.
That's right. It's a REIT, R-E-I-T with a small s.
All right. So,
what is a REIT?
yeah, what is a REIT? Run with it.
A REIT is a type of investment, technically an investment trust, created by Congress in 1960, actually as an amendment to the cigar excise tax extension.
The cigar excise tax extension?
And I wasn't around in 1960, so I'm not sure why that necessitated a change.
You weren't around in 1960? Okay.
But
I wasn't around in 1960 either, but my folks were.
The provision allows individual investors to buy shares in a commercial real estate portfolio.
Okay.
And it's separate than a corporation or company stock, but it acts similar. It creates wealth, collects income.
Supposed to create wealth.
It's supposed to create wealth. It has the potential to create wealth.
Okay.
It collects rent, and it pays that rent out to the shareholder, like a corporation pays out a dividend.
Nice.
But a corporation isn't required to pay out a dividend.
Is a real estate investment trust required to pay out a dividend?
It is.
Or the equivalent thereof?
Yep. It has to pay out a certain amount of its rent collection in the form of payment to a return of investment.
Okay.
To the shareholder.
Nice.
It has low correlation to the stock market, which is why it's an investment you may consider adding to your investments.
Okay.
It does well over the long run. Actually, REITs this year, depending on how you invest in them, up 30%.
Wow.
So outperforming the stock market. And a lot of that, and I've looked on week-by-week performance of certain REIT investments, and it's a hedge against the currency volatility.
Okay.
So when we see things are good between us and China, REITs underperform the market in general. But when things are bad between us and China, REITs outperform because most REITs are U.S., and it really doesn't matter what's happening overseas.
I guess that makes good sense. Yeah.
It should.
Okay.
And I've seen the evolution or the growth of REITs change over these last 20 years. International laws, country by country, slowly increase their adoption of the REIT form of investment.
So other countries may have something similar to REITs.
They do have something similar. We were the first in Australia many years ago, but really over the last 10 to 15 years, we've seen China, France, Germany, and others create the REIT investment opportunity.
And as American citizens and stuff, we can invest in those if we chose to?
Yep. You can do that. You can invest directly in a REIT, or you can invest in a mutual fund of REITs.
Wow.
In fact, REITs used to not be in the market, but now the S&P 500 has some REITs in it. So it's becoming more adopted and more of, I'll say, less of an alternative investment because they're becoming now more mainstream.
Fascinating. Okay. Mm-hmm. So REITs. This has been very interesting. It's like a stock, but not a stock. It's got to pay a dividend. Mm-hmm. Is it really called a dividend?
No, it's essentially a payout of rent collected.
Okay, all right. So like a dividend, but not really a dividend.
Yep. Yeah.
And overseas and stateside.
Yep. And in the stateside, there's different types. Obviously, you could have a real estate investment trust of a certain geographical area.
Okay.
Like East Coast, West Coast, or a city. or a type of property. So you could think retail or storage facility or timber or casinos or farmlands. So there's all types. Most recently, we've seen the explosion of cell tower REITs and data farm REITs, which obviously weren't around 20 years ago.
Right.
So this, like everything else in the investment world, changes over time.
Okay. Well, that's good stuff. So one of the things that hasn't changed much over time would be
My phone number.
your phone number. Exactly. What number should they call if they want to talk to you about REITs or other stuff that you don't actually sell? You just sell your knowledge.
Yep, 757-903-2127.
All right. And your website's probably changed since it came about.
That's jossfinancial.com.
Excellent.
In fact, there's a little quiz you can take, just kind of a how am I doing type quiz.
Okay.
That kind of give an assessment of your financial situation if you log on.
Oh, so it's not how is Dan Joss doing, it's how the consumer is doing.
Right.
Okay. Well, good. All right. And that's jossfinancial.com.
Yep.
All right. Well, Dan Joss, thanks for another exciting edition of Money Talks.
Thank you.
All right, so Dan Joss, if someone had a topic, because we've covered a lot of topics, if someone had a topic that they wanted us to talk about, what's the best way for them to suggest that topic? Would you be willing to take a suggested topic from the listening audience?
Sure, they could call my number, 757-903-2127, and leave a message saying, what about this topic or what about that topic?
All right, and they could email them over also.
Yep, they can. ddj@jossfinancial.com, or if they hit my website, they could click info@jossfinancial.com and leave a topic for Money Talks.
All right, good. So, listeners out there, if you want to suggest a topic, go to jossfinancial.com and click on info. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Money Talks is a weekly program presented for the listener's benefit and entertainment. It is provided at no cost to the listener, and the ideas, opinions, and comments are not to be construed as legal advice, tax advice, investment advice, or other advice specific to the listener. Listeners are encouraged to seek the advice of a licensed professional or other qualified party when dealing with financial, legal, tax, medical, investment, insurance, taxidermy, plumbing, electrical, carpentry, real estate, chiropractic, veterinary, oral hygiene, hot air ballooning, etc. We have given you some food for thought. Now, call a licensed professional such as Dan Joss at 757-903-2127. Thanks for listening, and remember, failing to plan is planning to fail.